With the 15th pick and with the 26th pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Washington Redskins select Dwayne Haskins, Montez Sweat.
Who else could it be? Wrong show. Welcome, all my fellow Redskin brethren and sisters. I am your man and resident Redskins fan, Lou. Thank you for joining me here on the Redskins Report. So, happy Thanksgiving, first and foremost. I know it's not for another 2 days, but I can never say that enough. I love Thanksgiving. It's one of my favorite holidays. And thus, normally I take the entire week off. But I feel it's my duty to continue to stay connected to the Redskins right now. It'd be even more imperative in a season in which the Redskins were actually competitive. But, I feel like, off of the win and some of the things that have come from that win and some of the fallout from Sunday's performance and the aftermath of it, I almost felt like I had to continue to follow the team and kind of bring awareness to some things and talk about this team in general, where the direction of this team is going. How, as fans, do we feel about the current state of the Redskins? Obviously, you're more morbid about the outlook of this team, especially if Bruce Allen is a part of the future. We don't know what's going to happen there. I still contend that he's going to be here when this season is over. And as we start to make plans for the future, he's still going to be among the decision makers. But when I look at the rest of this season, the Redskins have 5 games left. They're currently 2-9 on the season. And thank you for the correction. A lot of you made sure in the comment section that you corrected me because I talked about there were 3 2-win teams. And remember, I kept saying there's another 2-win team. There's another 2-win team. And all I could think of were the Dolphins and the Redskins. And I said, well, maybe they're the only 2-win teams. And then the rest of you say, hey, no. Hey, hold on. The Giants are a 2-win team as well. They're 2-9 as well. And for some reason, I don't know why, I kept thinking the Giants had won a 3rd game. But no, the Giants have won 2 games. Their last win was against us, the Redskins, in week 4. They had a 2-game winning streak after starting the season 0-2. They ran off 2 straight after beating Tampa Bay in week 3 and then beating the Redskins in week 4. And they haven't won a game since. So they stink as well. And so we find ourselves in a 3-way tie for the 2nd pick in the draft. It's hard to decipher who's what right now. Obviously, tiebreakers will determine who's 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, but there's still 5 games to play. And of those 3 teams, all of them are going to win at least 1 more game, or at least 2 out of the 3 will, okay? I'm confident in that. The Dolphins will win again. The Giants will win again because guess what? The Giants and the Redskins play, so someone has to win a game. And I think the Dolphins are going to win ultimately. So really, the Giants and the Redskins, their final win of the season maybe in that game. They may not win another game outside of that game, but we'll see what happens. But where do you stand? Would you rather the Redskins continue to play competitive football and win a game or 2 down the stretch? Do you feel like, look, we could use left tackle help and Andrew Thomas will be there, and if we can't get Chase Young, that would be the backup option? Or do you feel like, hey, look, there are plenty of options in the top 10, Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb. There are going to be a ton of receivers that you could grab. Maybe you could even trade back and still get one of those guys at the mid portion of the 1st round. Redskins could definitely use tight end help. We'll see what tight ends develop. Are there any worthy of a top, 10, 15 type of pick if the Redskins were to say trade back out of a big slot early in the draft? Or, would there be another player there that you would like to select? Or are you like, nah, to hell with all of that. Winning is of no consequence right now. We got to lose and we got to tank. And again, I hate to use that word, but we got to find a way to get to the number 2 pick and get Chase Young, because I feel like Cincinnati is they're going to win a game. As a matter of fact, the Cincinnati Bengals, you heard it here first. They're going to win this week. Okay. They're reinserting Andy Dalton into the starting lineup, and they got the Jets at home. They're going to win this week, are the Cincinnati Bengals. Believe me when I tell you, they're going to get their first win. So we're not out of the first overall pick conversation because Cincinnati is going to win, and they have the Dolphins again. They could easily win 2 more games this season, and all of a sudden they're at 2 wins, and who knows where the tiebreaker lies. But the Redskins play in the worst division in all of football, so strength of schedule-wise, I'd like to think the Redskins would win out in a situation like that. I'm just saying, we'll see what happens, though. The Redskins could win 2 games themselves, and all of a sudden we're the 7th pick in the draft. Who knows what's going to take place? But I said all of that to say this. The floor is yours. You've heard me talk enough. Phone number is on the screen. I'm going to read some comments from you guys. Use the hashtag LouieTLive if you want your comment read on the air. I'll get through as many of these. We've got an hour, guys. So at 9 o'clock, we're done. So we'll get as many calls and as many comments answered as possible in that time frame. Let's chop it up about these Redskins, whether you want to win or lose, whether you want to talk about Dwayne Haskins, whatever you want to talk about, it's all on the table. The floor is yours. I'll jump right into the comment section. Now, Jonathan Hart says, have a happy holidays to you and your fam, bro. Much love. Appreciate you. Same to you, Jonathan. Same to you as well. Happy holidays to you and yours. And may you guys enjoy each other's company and the company of family, friends, and everyone else this holiday season. Let's see. Also, make sure you use the hashtag LouieTLive once again if you want your comment read on the air. Jonathan Hart says, he says, we are deep. They got a bunch at Michigan. I want Chase Young. So he's saying that he wants Chase Young in the draft. I think most Redskins fans would sign up for that. I know that's who I want in the draft. We'll see what happens, but I got a call. I'm going to go ahead and take it. You're on live with your man, Louie T. Who am I speaking with?
Joe Rockhead. Also left a comment.
Hey, what's going on, Joe?
Hey, hell to the Redskins, brother. Love your show. Been following it, suggesting it, and all that good stuff.
Hey, man, appreciate that.
So,
go ahead.
okay. So my feelings about the win or lose. Okay, you know this is the preseason for 2020.
It feels like it.
Winning and losing is absolutely doesn't mean anything. I mean, whatever we can get in the draft, until I know who the coach is, I don't think it's really a matter of who we draft, because if they're not going to make whatever we draft a better player and will adapt to the players we have and able to change the culture, what's the point?
You're right. No,
So
you're absolutely
I'm not even really big on the draft, but I just wanted to see this preseason 2020 part one get going, see some guys get better, and hey, hopefully by the time the season's over, we feel good about what we have going into next year.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, whether it turns out to be wins or losses, honestly speaking, it is what it is. But I'm with you. I think the development of these young players probably trumps everything else at this point. I'm with you on that. Hey, man, I appreciate the call, Joe.
Oh, no, thank you. I appreciate you, man. Keep up the good work.
Hey, man, happy holidays. Take care.
Thank you. Same to you.
No doubt. And can we admit this right now? I think Joe made a great point, and it kind of got me to thinking as he was talking about, you know, the next coach and this team and seeing development of young players. Can we admit right now that this defense, and I know some of you have been saying this for quite some time, can we admit that this defense is better suited to be a 4-3 defense? The personnel that we have. Can we admit that the Bama boys play better in a 4-3 front where you're not asking Daron Payne to be a nose? You're asking Daron Payne to be able to shoot the gap and be a one gap and get into the backfield and make plays instead of being a two gapper. Can we admit that right now? That we're better off as a 4-3, and if you get a guy like Chase Young, that we're better off in a 4-3 defense? I'm not saying, I'm just saying. You're on live with your man, Louie T. Who am I speaking with?
Louie T, this is JP. How you doing?
What's going on, JP?
What's going on? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
All right. Well, first of all, I just want to say happy Thanksgiving to you, and God bless you and your family.
Likewise. Yep. Thanks. Appreciate that.
Well, there's a couple of things I want to get to tonight. One thing is I want to talk a little bit about who we're potentially going to bring in for a head coach. What we're planning, what we should do the rest of the season. Should we win out? Should we lose out? And get a high pick like in the 2 or 3 range. And then I have a little bit of a, and then first thing I want to get to before we get to that, tomorrow's going to be the 12-year anniversary of Sean Taylor's death.
Yep.
I know that's a little bit of a touchy subject, but he was a great safety, and I honestly wish that he was still here.
Yeah, I mean, you and every other Redskin fan wishes that. I mean, we talk about it every year. I always designate this the Sean Taylor game. We never win it, it seems like, but I always make sure I commit this one to his memory every year. So yeah, absolutely.
He was special, and he was before his death. He had some issues off the field. He was involved in some issues with the team, and when his daughter was born, he was just starting to figure it out. He was cleaning up his life. The one memory I think I will always remember is the big hit on the punter in the Pro Bowl. I think it was the kicker, right?
Yeah, it was.
And that was probably one of my favorite memories. I go back and I watch Sean Taylor highlights every now and then. Tomorrow I'm going to have a boatload of Sean Taylor highlights to watch just because it's been 12 years since this franchise lost him. And, I wouldn't say we would have won a Super Bowl, but I think I'm not sure how old he would be today if he were still here, but he would probably have longevity. He would probably play well into his late 30s. It would have been an honor to see the man play today, and our one-man Legion of Boom, and it's just sad. It really is.
Yeah.
Being murdered in his own home like that while protecting his family, I mean, it's heartbreaking.
Yep. Okay. So
anyway,
yeah.
First thing I want to get to is who we're going to hire as a head coach. I wanted to ask you if you think I let the thing on your Twitter. I asked you a question, but I'll ask it to you now. How would you feel about the Redskins landing Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator from the Kansas City Chiefs? The reason why I asked this question is because he seems like one of those Sean McVay type guys, very creative with his ability to call plays, offensive schemes. Seems to have a lot of respect around the league. He made Pat Mahomes a MVP in Kansas City last year. Do you think we could get him here to Washington and apply that to Haskins? If he could do it with Mahomes, he could definitely do it with Haskins.
I think there are more factors than just him in Kansas City. Obviously, there's the Andy Reid effect. But I do think that he has learned a lot from Andy Reid, and Andy Reid's tree hasn't done half bad in the league. When you look at like Matt Nagy, he is struggling this year, but last year, he won double-digit games, and the Bears won the division and should have won a playoff game. And you look at Doug Peterson, he's already won a Super Bowl. So if you're talking about guys coming from the Andy Reid tree, I say they've had success in this league. So I'd like to think that Eric Bieniemy would probably do well himself if given the opportunity. We don't know that for sure, but if you're looking at the track record of guys coming from that Andy Reid tree, you'd have to surmise that he might have an opportunity to do well. But that being said, as I've said all along, why would he want to come here? They're going to be every bit of 6 openings. I think the Cowboys' job opening will be one. The Giants might have an opening. The Jets potentially could. I talked about this on my podcast. The Jags will have an opening. There are going to be several different opportunities out there, and I don't think he would take this job. I think he would rather stay in Kansas City another year and wait for a better opportunity than come here and be the Redskins head coach. And that's just how I feel. Until someone changes that narrative, until Bruce Allen is no longer here or someone proves to me that they want this job other than a retread. If you're a hot young coordinator or your name is resonating around league circles and you can get almost any job that you want, or at least you're in conversations for a lot of the jobs that are out there and you're linked to many other jobs, you wouldn't come here. It's just really simple. So, in a perfect world, yeah, it'd be nice to have him be considered for the job. But at the end of the day, I honestly don't believe. I think, and I've said this before, I equate it to the Sean Payton, Bill Parcells relationship in Dallas when he was the offensive coordinator under Parcells. And he was going to take the Raiders job. And Parcells told him, don't take that job. You'll get another opportunity. You're good enough of a coach to get a better opportunity than that. So he waited another year. and stayed on board with Parcells in Dallas, and then he ended up getting the Saints job, and the rest is history. I see a similar situation where Andy Reid will be like, hey, dude, that's a dysfunctional organization. Trust me, I know I was in the NFC East with them all those years. You don't want to go there. Wait for another opportunity, and you'll get a better job than that. And that's how I see that playing out. But I could be wrong, but that's how I feel about that.
Well, that's the thing. Let's say Dan Snyder secures a meeting with the enemy. Mm-hmm. Well, because they can't really have access to the enemy until after the season, until the Chiefs season is over, since they're going to make the playoffs. What if Daniel Snyder, the owner, since let's say he does, like the enemy's like, hey, I'll come in, I'll take a meeting, and they sit down, they talk. It's like, and Snyder asks him, what do I have to do to bring you here to coach the Washington Redskins? And Ben Me will be like, okay, if I come here, I want full control. I want to hire my own coaching staff, and I would like to maybe have some. I know it sounds insane because the guy has never been a head coach before. But what if he sits Dan Snyder down and says, "I would like some control of the front office personnel, and get me and a GM in here that I could work with." I think I like this Kyle Smith guy in the front office. I think me and him could have a good partnership together. And Daniel Snyder, but in order for me to come here, you will have to fire Bruce Allen. I can potentially see that happening. If Daniel Snyder likes what he sees in Bieniemy, is like he will do. Let me tell you something. Dan Snyder's desperate, Lou. I know, Snyder. You said that on one of the Redskins reports that there's reports from that podcast that you listened to. I think it was Kevin Sheehan. Mm-hmm. He said that Dan is starting to get fed up, and he's starting to get antsy, and he's desperate. He's like, I will like the guy sits down. He says, "Hey, I will come coach for you, but Bruce Allen needs to be out of here for that to happen. I will handle the football. Kyle Smith, Doug Williams, and I will handle the football stuff. You just run the organization as a whole, and we'll handle the rest. Just stay out of the football operations, and I'll come here and coach the Washington Redskins." I think Bieniemy may have the balls to go to Daniel Snyder and do that because Snyder's desperate. I mean, he's got to see the empty seats. He's got to see. He can't possibly have Bruce Allen here for those seats. I know that he's Bruce Allen's puppet, but I don't know what I would do again.
Don't box yourself in.
You know what I mean.
Don't box yourself in. We do it too often. We say, if they do this, don't do it. Because what you're going to do is you're going to end up having to backtrack 3 months from now when Bruce Allen's still here and he's getting ready for free agency. So just save yourself the time, the embarrassment, and the frustration, and just understand that it's a realistic possibility that he'll be here again next year. And we'll still feel hopeless and desperate to get him out of here. And it is what it is. But to your point, if Daniel Snyder hires someone, it's probably going to be someone that has some kind of clout. He wants someone that has a track record. I don't think Eric Bieniemy would be someone that would move the needle for him per se. I could be wrong, but I think that's why he was so hard for going after Tomlin, and that's why the reports were he wanted Tomlin, because he's seen the track record with Tomlin and he has a relationship with Tomlin, and he knows Tomlin has the ability to come in and be a little bit more stringent and maybe get results. I don't think he knows that with Bieniemy, so we'll see. But
yeah. Well, would you be surprised though? That's what I also wanted to ask.
Hey, JP, I got to get to some more calls. You're more than welcome to call back in, but I'm gonna go to another call, man.
All right.
Yep.
All right. Thank you. I'll call back at some point.
Sounds good. All right. So, with the coaching situation, I said this on the podcast. I think there are going to be a bunch of opportunities available, and I just don't think the Redskins are going to top that list. Jacksonville's definitely firing Doug Marrone. And like I said, I talked about this on the podcast. Redskins are going to be an opening, obviously, that will be available at the season's end. I think the Cowboys are and even if Jason Garrett is able to make the playoffs, because this division stinks, he still may not survive in Dallas. Same can be said for the Giants head coach, Pat Shermer. I think he could be out of there. There could be a number of different openings. And then you get to a point then where you're just like, hey, what's your flavor? Which one of these young quarterbacks do you prefer? I think it's tailor-made in Dallas. They've got all the talent. They've got an established quarterback, established running back, established receiver, offensive line that's ready to go right now. I mean, who wouldn't want that job? That goes to the top of the list if you ask me. Jacksonville, that's a little bit of a dicey situation. How do you feel about Nicholas Foles? But Gardner Minshew was there too. I mean, that defense can be revived, I believe. But that's a situation that probably is better than the Redskins situation, I guess, right now. The New York situation, do you prefer Daniel Jones or do you prefer Dwayne Haskins? Maybe that's what it comes down to right there. Or maybe you trust that organization and the stability there more so than you do in Washington. I don't know. We'll see. You're on live with your man, Louie T. Who am I speaking with?
Hello?
Hello?
My name's Dan.
What's going on, man?
I'm good.
Okay. What's up?
So, obviously, you know Dan, and who do you think he personally would prefer? Because none of the top guys are going to come.
Mm-hmm.
So, who do you think he would get, like, from a lower tier of coaching?
It's really hard to say because you've already had guys, retreads, want this job. I think Rex Ryan has already said he wants a job. He's already openly lobbying to get this job. He just wants back in. He could really care less where it is. He just wants back in. Obviously, you look at the ex-Green Bay Packers head coach, Mike McCarthy. At some point, he's going to probably get back into the league as a head coach. That's a guy that could potentially be a retread that the Redskins, want to talk to for obvious reasons, most notably his development of Aaron Rodgers. So, at the end of the day, it's really hard to say where the Redskins will turn and what they're actually looking for. This is what I do know. They're going to look for a coach that they feel like has the ability to come in and instill discipline because they felt like they lacked that under Jay Gruden. And that's why they wanted Callahan to come in. And that's why they felt like he was going to be able to come in and change things because they felt like he was going to be more structured, more disciplined than Jay was. It has not worked, but I think that's what they're going to be looking for in their next head coach. So don't be surprised if they look for a guy with a more rigid background, someone that they feel like is a stickler for discipline and someone that they feel like is going to come in and hold players accountable. We'll see what they decide to do, but I think that's the direction they're going to go in. It'll be interesting to see if they decide to go defensive-minded coach or offensive-minded. Since Dan has been here, it's been all offensive-minded coaches. Not a single defensive-minded head coach has been hired. And so if that trend continues, you'll probably see another offensive-minded guy in here. So we'll see what they decide to do. Right now, we keep saying that the defense is the strength. I'm not really sure if that's true or not. So we'll see what happens.
So what coaches would you think, come in and want more power?
Yeah, if there's a coach that wants power, it's going to be a guy that's established, that has won in this league, because you can't come in and demand power and you haven't done anything in this league. Like, there are only a handful of guys that will be available this offseason that will have the ability to demand anything. I mean, let's face it. If you haven't won a Super Bowl or you haven't consistently won in this league, then you can't demand a damn thing. So, that's why a guy like Tomlin would have been able to demand power because, A, he's under contract right now with the Pittsburgh Steelers, but B, he's a guy that's won a Super Bowl and he's got a track record of never having a losing season in his career. So this is a guy that's never finished any worse than 8-8 as a head coach. So he gets results, and he's dealt with a lot of turmoil in Pittsburgh, more so than we thought. After having that curtain peeled back, we saw all of the drama that was going on for years, whether it was Ben or it was Le'Veon Bell or Antonio Brown. There was drama going on the entire time. It was a circus behind the curtain, and he was having to juggle multiple things, and yet he kept a straight face and kept them winning ball games this entire time. So it's going to take a guy like that to be able to demand, and there are not many guys out there like that. Let's face it. I mean, Marvin Lewis is one of the few guys that if the Redskins were interested in, and I'm not a guy that's really interested in Marvin Lewis, But he'd be one of the guys that would probably be able to demand a little bit of power. I think Greg Williams, although he has never won anything as a head coach, he's a respected defensive coordinator. And if if Dan wanted him bad enough, and this is the reason why Greg Williams hasn't been a head coach in over a decade, because he's probably had opportunities. But he wants power. He wants control. He's no dummy. He's been around the block. He had a head coaching job in Tennessee. He had a head coaching job in Buffalo. And I think he's one of those guys that he realizes what went wrong in those spots. And if he's going to do it again, he's going to do it again on his terms and his terms alone. And so he's not going to go into a situation blindly just accepting the head coaching role. He wants a little bit more say-so if he's going to go down this next time as a head coach. And so he's another guy that I think would demand a little bit of power. And if Dan really wanted him on board, he'd probably have to relinquish some of that. So, but there aren't many guys out there like that.
All right, let me go off topic a little.
Yep.
Do you think, Dan is really frustrated with the organization, or is it like, you think it's just a rumor or like anything that basically it's nothing to really worry about, and, you think that Bruce will come back here 100% next year?
I can't say 100%. I told you that Kevin Sheehan, a guy that I trust because he's got sources on the inside, has said that Daniel Snyder there's a growing frustration with him over the way that this season has gone and the way that things are going. Now, to what extent, how upset is he? Is he willing to make wholesale changes? I don't know. We already know that this entire staff, for the most part, outside of Kevin O'Connell, a lot of these guys aren't going to be back next year. All right, head coach is gone, defensive coordinator is gone. We're going to see pretty much a turnover in staff. But is he going to take that next step? Is he frustrated enough to take that next step, that grand step that we all want, which is getting rid of Bruce Allen and bringing someone else in here that can run the show? I don't know that for sure. I told you, I'm only 7% on board with him firing Bruce. I think it's still a 93% chance. That's what I'm putting it at, that Bruce is back here next year. I just don't see Bruce going anywhere yet. Maybe in time, maybe 2-3 years down the road, maybe, after next year's season, if it's a bad season again, that maybe Bruce is then gone. But right now, for me, I think Bruce is still here. And so I just don't anticipate him going in that direction. But I think Dan is frustrated. Yes. I mean, we're in a season of futility that the Redskins have never seen in franchise history. We're sitting at 2-9, and 2-14 is very possible and on the table, and the Redskins have never been 2-14 in their franchise's history. So yeah, there's that. And I wasn't at the game, but I heard that there was probably less than 35,000 fans at the stadium. The stadium holds well over 70,000 fans. So you're talking about less than half of the stadium was filled, and then let's call it 30,000. Of the 30,000, it sounded like 17 to 20,000 of them were Lions fans. So you can't ignore this type of stuff. And it wasn't an inclement weather day. It was a perfectly fine day in November, and no one came to the game. So Dan can't ignore these things.
All right, that'll be it.
Hey, man.
Take care.
You take care, man. Appreciate your call. So, it'll be interesting to see how, this offseason goes, because I still believe Bruce is going to be here when it's all said and done. Now, what I'm also hearing too, let me throw this out there, is that there could be because, Bruce is Dan's guy. Dan doesn't want to embarrass Bruce, but maybe he wants Bruce gone. And so they come up with this mutual parting of ways where, Bruce retires. We've heard that one before, that Bruce steps down and he retires and kind of rides off into the sunset, if you will, whatever sunset that is. And so I don't care how it happens. We just want it to happen. But I've also heard that that's a possibility this offseason as well. You're on live with your man, Louie T. Who am I speaking with?
Hey, what's going on, Louie? This is DeMarco.
What's going on, DeMarco?
Nothing much, man. You mind if I get some off my chest real quick?
Man, knock yourself out.
All right. I'm on board with you. I have like a 7%, that Bruce may get fired, but 93% that he'll be back by the start of the new league year. But for me, like, I think
the frustrating part about this whole dynamic is that we really don't know how the Redskins are viewing all of this that's going on. We on the outside see it as an absolute abject disaster. It's crumbling right before our very eyes. The fan base, they're losing them in droves, and the Redskins are becoming more and more irrelevant in the NFL landscape. And a lot of the reason why, I mean, as fans, we point to a number of different things, but our public enemy number one is Bruce Allen. And yet Daniel Snyder has yet to figure that out and doesn't understand that Bruce has been toxic for this organization. And so I haven't seen anything that happened this season that, other than the Trent Williams situation, which I still, again, with the narcissism that exists in Redskins Park, I don't think you'll never get the culpability piece. As I've mentioned before, you'll never get them to admit that this happened because of Bruce or Dan. So with that being said, it's hard to envision change taking place when the people involved don't see them as the root cause of the problem. They see it as, oh, Jay Gruden wasn't doing a good enough job, or Callahan didn't do a good enough job, and we got the right players, but we just need the right coach. So you're going to find yourself going through the same situation all over again.
Yeah, that's the part that you hate about both Bruce and Dan. They're just afraid to admit what they did wrong.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I appreciate your call.
All right, you have a great Thanksgiving, bro.
Likewise, man. Appreciate that.
All right.
And when I look at the season and the way everything has gone and how everything has transpired, I thought last year they should have cleaned house, started anew, especially if you're going to draft a quarterback, which is, they knew they wanted to do that. Instead, they kept Jay Gruden on, and I think they knew what they were doing. They needed a fall guy. They knew the schedule was hard. They needed a fall guy, and they used Jay as that guy. You're on live with your man Louie T. Who am I speaking with?
Yo, Lou, how you doing? This your boy Zumba. How you doing?
What's going on, man?
Yo, I'm good, man. Happy Thanksgiving, bro.
Likewise. Appreciate that.
All right, man. Yo, I was at the game on Sunday.
Yeah.
And it was so electric. It was so fun. I don't know what you guys are talking about. There's a lot of Redskins fans going to the stadiums. Okay.
What's your definition of a lot? Because if half of the stadium is filled, look, there are passionate Redskins fans that go every single week, but the stands are not full. You can't tell me that. I can see it on TV.
Well, let me tell you something. It's not everything that they will show on the TV, to be very honest with you. When you go to the game, it's a different thing altogether.
I've been to a game before, so I know what the stadium looks like. And people that are there that I trust are telling me that the entire visitor side behind the Lions bench was all Detroit Lions fans.
Well, it's the visitor side. They're supposed to be Lions fans.
No, that's not how it works, man. This isn't high school. You don't have people coming in for the opposing team and sitting on that side. It's an NFL stadium. You think if the Chiefs were playing the Detroit Lions, that the Lions are going to have 15,000 fans behind their side? No, it's going to be all Chiefs fans.
I understand what you're saying, but listen, let me tell you something. This team was 1-9, okay? So the fact that we still had a lot of Redskins fans at the stadium alone was very encouraging to me, to be very honest with you. Okay. But let's talk about something else. Okay. Let's talk about Dwayne Haskins so far. From what I saw watching the game live, it was kind of frustrating when he missed a couple of shots. But from what I saw, he made good reads, good decisions. And I see a lot of good things that this kid can do if he can correct those mechanical issues. And I'm very encouraged by it. What do you say? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that was the assessment after the game, was that, look, we're past all of the pre-snap problems that we had earlier when he wasn't the starter, like what we saw in Minnesota. So the operation, that side of things, I don't worry about that anymore. The thing that we wanted to see was, did he know where to go with the football? That particular game, the Lions played a lot of man-to-man, so I don't think the reads were particularly hard, but he went to the right places, and that was encouraging for me. I never once said to myself, he should have thrown a pick because he made a bad decision there. That not one time did I say that in that game. That being said, guys were open, as you mentioned. And you're not going to hit every one of those in this league. You're going to miss from time to time. That happens. Not saying that I expect him to be perfect, but there were so many opportunities. Dwayne Haskins should have thrown, 3 touchdown passes in that
Yeah, he should have thrown 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. At the game, I was saying that the whole time that, this kid could have thrown even 4 touchdowns, actually. Not even 3. He could have thrown 4 touchdowns. But you know what? Baby steps, okay? Right now, we won a game, and I am so excited. I don't care about all those people talking about, draft picks. Man, forget all that stuff. Okay, we won a game. This is very important for a very young team. Let's remember that this team is a very, very young team.
Yeah.
Everybody on the offensive side is young, either first year or second year. Okay, the defense is also very young, so they need something to give them some confidence.
I agree.
You understand what I'm saying? They need to stack up wins. If they do not win this year, it's going to creep into next year. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't understand people who say, why are they winning? Let's get draft picks. Forget all that. These kids need confidence. They need to know that they can win, so that next year they can do what? They can actually win games and not feel like, we are going to be losing. You understand what I'm saying? Like, confidence is something that is very important when it comes to sports. Momentum and confidence. And right now, the confidence was shot because we was doing really bad. But one win, especially for Dwayne, you see how emotional he was when he won that game? You know what? That is really going to tell him that, I can actually do this thing. Understand? So that's why it's so important. When we're done with the game, man, I was telling everybody, bro, celebrate, be happy. You understand what I'm talking about? We won this game. It's very important for us to win these games because that's what's going to bring confidence, and confidence brings good things. You understand?
Absolutely, man. Hey, Zimba, appreciate you calling in, man, and giving us that perspective. You have a good Thanksgiving, man. Take care.
All right, man. Hail to the Redskins.
Indeed. And that's the other end of the argument right there. And I don't disagree with anything that he said in terms of confidence. I've always preached about how confidence is fleeting. And when you have confidence, I said confidence begets winning, winning begets confidence. It's a beautiful, vicious, flavor, delicious cycle. And right now the Redskins haven't had confidence because they haven't won football games. And you saw it. You saw the emotion, as Zimba talked about, on the sidelines when he hugged Kevin O'Connell, when he hugged Morgan Moses. You saw the emotion. It was raw. That they were excited because they finally won a game. And the players are only going to believe in Dwayne if he wins. You can see flashes all you want. But at the end of the day, the veterans on that team, they're not going to believe in him if they continue to lose football games and he's not playing well. If they find ways to win, they start to believe. I got another call. I'm going to go ahead and take it. You're on live with your man, Louie T. Who am I speaking with?
You are. What's up, my man, Louie T? This is Frankie Rowe. My man, Louie T. What's up, brother?
What's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. I'm just, sitting here, and you will work, brother. But I had called, months prior, and I had told you some time ago that Bruce had a plan. I'm that guy.
Yep.
And right now, I don't think so. I think Bruce is getting fired. And for some odd reason, no, but what I realized throughout the whole Trent situation, brother, and how Trent talked. My main thing was how Trent talked and how Trent speak. Trent said, no, I love Bruce. I don't, no, not Bruce, Dan. Sorry. He just said, I love Dan. I don't fault Dan. The whole time he was saying Dan. So now I got to thinking of my theory now. I'm like this. Right now, I'm like this. I think Dan and Trent. I think they want to get Bruce out. I think Trent's going to stay next year. Okay, and I know how you would feel. Okay, I know how you feel, but I think that Trent is going to stay because Bruce is going to get fired, and we're going to get a head coach. Okay, now on the head coach aspect. Okay, I think we're getting Urban Meyer. How do you feel about that?
I think we have a 0% chance of getting Urban Meyer. I would be utterly shocked and dismayed if we got Urban Meyer. Utter shock. And the dismay of it would be that I don't know how long he would be here for. Because Urban Meyer has health issues.
Yes,
and
I do understand that aspect, but every time Urban Meyer has health issues is when something is going bad. you can go back to Florida, you can go back to Ohio.
You're right.
State, okay?
You're right about that.
But this is a key thing when it comes to Urban Meyer. A long time ago, Fred Smoot said this months ago on 980, I think. He said that you can book it. Urban Meyer is the head coach. So as time goes on, I'm like, okay, I see Dwayne. And then guess what? One thing, I see Terry. Terry is a key factor. He's a beast. He's a dog. But Terry was Urban Meyer's favorite number one guy. That's everything went through Terry when it comes to Urban Meyer. That was his player. And another factor is, if the Redskins get the number 2 pick in the draft and they can get their hands on Chase Young, I don't know if you watch Urban Meyer's show on college, but when he talks about Chase Young, he praises Chase Young. He loves Chase Young. He adores Chase Young. And if he can get his hands on Chase Young, his QB, his number 1 receiver, his favorite receiver, that's going to instead all his rules and all that. And plus, it's a young Redskins team. So it's like it's a college team. It's perfect for Urban. And I think Dan, he sees that. And plus, that's a splash. Because Urban got respect throughout the NFL and college. Yeah. Bill respects Urban and Sean Payton and all them respects Urban. So they will give him a welcome into the league. And that's how Bruce can get out too. You know, but that's my aspect on that. And then on Dwayne, I told you that Dwayne is great, okay? But, yes, he has his rookie mistakes. We all get that. He's going to overthrow some balls. His accuracy is going to be suspect at times. It's going to. But this is his first 8 games. This is his last stretch out the season. This is his let me get ready for beyond. This is just that. This is his practice. We talking about practice. This is his practice, his game. This is just him learning. Next year, I can guarantee you, once we get a head coach that believes in him, an old coordinator, and you said that he's a starter, I can tell you, Dwayne Haskins is going to be a great QB. How he threw that ball against the Jets, when he threw that 60-yard bomb or something like that got called back, I can tell you, there's only a handful of QBs right now that's doing that. Right. I don't care. There's only a handful. That bomb, the way and plus he evaded 2 people. And then he came out the pocket and he threw a strike on the run. And they said that the boy can't throw. They said that he can't throw on the run. But that man threw a strike to Terry. It got called back, but it just showed me, okay, that's all that boy needs. Plus, and if the defense get Chase Young, that's a game changer. That changes the whole thing. And I want us to switch to the 4-3. Yeah. We need the 4-3. And guess what that suits? That suits Montez Sweat great. Yep. Because Montez Sweat played 4-3 throughout all college. that suits the Bama boys straight because they play 4-3, a hybrid system throughout college. And Chase Young, you drop Chase Young there. I tell you, Chase Young is the Khalil Mack to the Redskins. And Dunbar is going to be a Pro Bowler. All we need is one corner, one good corner. All we need is one good corner, one good safety. And that's Collins. And then we got Rubin that's going to come back. And then you added in some rookies and stuff like that. And then you just need a good defensive coordinator that's just going to put energy in us. You put energy in that defense, they can take us while the offense develops next year. But we just need to not draft no receiver or O-lineman high. We need to grab Chase Young. Chase Young is the game changer for the whole Redskins. Plus, Chase Young is from Maryland. He went there to school in PG County. He lived in Upper Marlboro. He's from Maryland. Okay, he's from down the street from Redskins Park, so he knows this is perfect. This is a next draft all over again, a hometown kid. It's perfect. Everything is lining up again. Everything is lining up again, and we need Chase Young, we need Dwayne Haskins, the Ohio connection, and we need Urban Myers. And I can tell you, this thing will change. Plus, I like the Chiefs guy too. I like the Chiefs offensive coordinator. I like him. He's a secondary option. I like him. But I think Urban Meyer fits the perfect mold because you got Dwayne Haskins. He will believe in Dwayne. Plus, I think Bruce is getting out of here after this season because they're going to win 14. We're going to win 14. And I don't think he comes back. He's had a tenure for like 10 years now. They have won nothing. Dan right now is losing money when it comes to the stadiums. They're half empty, like you're saying. That's fact. And plus the Kevin Sheehan, when he said on his podcast, I truly believe that. I think there's rumblings about Dan. And I think because a small nugget, somebody actually stepped away in the Redskins organization, and I think he went to the Olympics or something like that. But he was a special guy. Plus, Bruce Allen, he put up his house for sale, and that went under the radar. Bruce Allen put his house up to sale, so things are brewing up there. Things are brewing up. I don't know who would be our future GM, but I think we need to go young. If Dan's smart, he needs to go young throughout everything. Go young. That's what's trending. That's going to be the trend. You're going to need young players, young GMs that relate to the players now. Like how you got Sean McVay as a head coach. GMs are going. That's how the trend is going to go. But Louie T, thanks for having me. Adrian Peterson. That's my shit. You enjoy, brother, man. Keep doing what you're doing. I hear you. Oh, you follow the words. Please support this man. Subscribe. He's on here every day. He does his thing. He give us Redskins news. And I'm a Redskins fan. And I love his intros. It be on point. You on point with it, brother. So keep on doing it. Keep pushing. And like I told you a long time ago, if I ever get rich, I'm gonna put you on. I'm gonna make sure you got your own thing set up, brother, because you're good at what you do. I see you, okay?
Hey, man, I appreciate you, man. Happy Thanksgiving and take care.
Yes, sir. And enjoy. Happy Thanksgiving, okay, brother?
No doubt. So much to comb through there. Let's talk about Urban Meyer for a second, because that is the type of splash that I think is coming this offseason. Now, is it going to be Urban Meyer? I don't know about that. I don't think, but everything that he said makes sense, all right, in terms of Urban Meyer. But that's the kind of splash Dan would be looking for. Every time we've been at rock bottom like this, it was Joe Gibbs the first time. It was Mike Shanahan the second time. And I think you're going to get some kind of big time, big name coach here this time around. And so Urban Meyer fits that mold, okay? You know, when you're talking, and the kind of guy that would demand power, that would be able to say, get a guy like Bruce out of here. Or, again, I'm actually hearing that Bruce and Dan may agree so that, Bruce can leave on his own terms and retire. We've heard that before. Remember that stretch where we thought he could be going to Oakland with John Gruden? Man, we were so excited about that. That never happened. I don't know what's going to take place, but I can tell you this much. When something does happen, it's going to be big, I think. So I wouldn't rule out Urban Meyer, but I don't see it happening. But, it makes a lot of sense. You're on live with your man, Louie T. Who am I speaking with?
What up, Lou? It's your man, Zoe.
What's going on, Zoe?
Listen, bro. I watched the game on Sunday, and I see one thing that I can't take anymore. Trey Quinn got to go. He can't return punts. As a slot receiver, he's kind of slow. I want to see Steven Sims on the field in the slot. I'm talking to my son about it. He thinks Trey Quinn is trash, and I'm starting to agree with him. I try to give him a year and a half of playing the slot, being a punt returner, and he does nothing every week. All he does is fall down.
Look.
Calvin Harmon, I'm loving it. Granted, the drop pass, I need that pass. I need that catch. I need that.
You really think that was a drop?
Let's see number 2.
You really think that was a drop? That was a tough catch.
It was a tough catch, but you know what? The pros make that catch. And I need a number 2 to take all the pressure off of McLaurin. I need that catch made. I know it's tough. But I need that catch. That's a big, big play. We needed that.
Yeah, I agree.
But as this team goes on, I see the youth, and I'm loving it. I remember watching one of your episodes. You talk about untouchables. There's a female on the offensive side, too. I'm loving Eric Flowers as an untouchable. I want him on his team next year. He's by far the best offensive lineman. Surprise to me. It's Saul Flowers is our best lineman.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be resigned.
On the field.
I think he's gonna be resigned this offseason. I'm pretty confident that the Redskins are gonna re-sign Eric Flowers.
That is something that's a nice little piece, a small piece. And as for the draft, I'm looking at. I know this don't sound sexy, and Chase Young sounds great, but I'm looking towards the left tackle. I need to protect our investment. I gotta protect that.
Yeah.
I need that protected. And for as a head coach, I have one call about Urban Meyer. That sounds cool and all, but honest to God, there's one person I have my eyes on. Are you ready for this one?
I'm listening.
Greg Williams.
Hey.
I would love to see Greg back in D.C.
Yeah.
This is what's rampant. And to give, I don't know if I can trust Kevin O'Connell, but you give the offensive coordinator the full on top of the offense and let Greg Williams do his thing on defense, and we can go places.
That's going to be the key. If you hire a defensive-minded guy, who's the offensive mind that you come in to groom Dwayne Haskins? And then the question becomes, how long is it before that guy leaves? If Dwayne has success, that coach that has helped Dwayne gain that success is going to get a job, and then you're going to have to do that whole song and dance. That's why teams generally like to hire an offensive-minded head coach, because if that guy marries with the quarterback, he's going to be there the entire time. And you don't have to worry about that juggling act that you have as an offensive coordinator. So that's the issue that you run into when you have a young quarterback that you want to grow, and you want to have a offensive mind. That's why the trend in the league right now is young quarterback, young offensive-minded head coach, because everyone's looking for that Sean Payton, Drew Brees type of relationship where you get a young quarterback and a young head coach, and you kind of have those two grow together for years to come. And when you hire a defensive-minded guy, like, say, Pittsburgh did with Mike Tomlin, and you got a young coach, young quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger, you're going to have multiple revolving door at offensive coordinator as they have in Pittsburgh. But the good thing about when Tomlin got there was that Ben had already been in the league a few years, so he wasn't as fazed by it. But he's went through a number of offensive coordinators, because as the Steelers had success, so did those coordinators. They get head coaching jobs. So that's the only thing you run into with a guy like Greg Williams. But I'm on board with that. You know how I feel about Greg Williams. So.
All right. Before I have the phone, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Yep.
And this is one final question.
Okay.
I'll hang up and listen to you. So if you can have a pick of any defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator out there, who do you want on the coaching staff for next year? I'll hang up. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Have a good night.
Hey, likewise, man. Appreciate you, and happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. So if I had any pick of the litter of an offensive coordinator, I'd want someone innovative. I'd want someone creative. I want someone that would be able to come in and would be open to, doing things a little bit differently and unconventionally. I would want someone to come in here and, as I think about guys around the league and teams around the league and the way that some of these offenses are set up, it's interesting because who are we as an offense? I think that would really determine what I would want in an offensive coordinator. Who are we as an offense? Do any of you guys out there know? Because I still don't know what we are as an offense yet. Can we drop back and throw it 40 times? Do we need to run it, and be balanced? Everyone says balance, balance, balance. That sounds great, but truth of the matter is there aren't many teams in this league that are actually balanced. There are a few out there. The Oakland Raiders are a balanced football team. The Green Bay Packers are a balanced football team. But you see what balance gets you too. When you can't run the football and establish the run, and you're a balanced team, and you're incapable of dropping back and slinging it 35, 40 times, you're going to get drubbed if the other team can stop the run. That's why the Raiders just got their brains bashed in by the Jets. Jets have the number 2 rush defense in the league. The Raiders need to run the football to be successful. They couldn't run it. That's why they got their brains bashed in. You saw the Green Bay Packers. They need to run the football. They need to remain balanced. This isn't the Aaron Rodgers that you knew under Mike McCarthy. This is a different Aaron Rodgers and a different offense. They have to run the football to be successful because they must remain balanced. They weren't able to remain balanced against the 49ers. They got their brains bashed in, okay? So you run the risk of being balanced but not being able to open it up if you necessarily need to. I don't know what we are as an offense right now. It's hard for me to say, but if you twisted my arm and you said, hey, you have to go out there and get an offensive coordinator, I'd want a guy like Eric Bieniemy as my offensive coordinator. Why? Because he runs an offense similar to the one that we run here, or at least the quarterback that is here is comfortable in an offense like the one the Chiefs run, where your quarterback is primarily in the gun and there's a lot of moving parts. That's what they did at Ohio State. A lot of what you see in Kansas City, they did some sort of that at Ohio State, and the offense looks a lot similar. Now, again, there's a lot of different things that Dwayne would have to digest, but I think that Eric Bieniemy isn't afraid of going against the grain and pushing the envelope. That's why a lot of people are intrigued by him being a head coach. Obviously, he's not taking a lateral move to be an offensive coordinator here, but that's the kind of guy that I'm looking for to come in and spice things up on the offensive side of the football. Then if you're talking defensive coordinator, obviously I would say Greg Williams. That's my guy. I always wanted to see him get an opportunity here in Washington, and I like the way that he mixes things up. And he's a stickler for stopping the run, something we really haven't been able to do with great success here. We've had our moments. Yep, we had the game where we shut down Ezekiel Elliott and he had 15 rushes for 34 yards. Yep, we had the game where Christian McCaffrey was here and we shut him down and we beat the Panthers. Yeah, those are too few and far between, though. We're not consistent enough in stopping the run. When we're on, we can stop the run. When we're not, we really struggle in all facets of the game. Greg Williams is going to make sure we first and foremost stop the run. And then once you get teams into third and long, he's going to come after you. And he's going to be creative in the way that he does that. So obviously I'm a Greg Williams guy, and that's who I would want the Redskins to have. But in any event, we got a call. I'm going to go ahead and take it. You're on live with your man, Louie T. Who am I speaking with?
Yo, man, what's going on, man? This is Sir Ozone. How you living?
I'm doing well, man. About yourself?
I'm good, man. First of all, you brave, man. You done had some wild calls tonight.
Hey, look, man.
It's all good.
You know how it is sometimes.
I heard you mention it before about giving Kevin O'Connell to maybe take the head coach job. Everybody like, yo, he had experience, he this and that. We didn't already had Sean McVay dip out. We didn't already had the San Fran head coach dip out. Like, we be having people in-house, but just don't be keeping them. I'm telling you, if they fooled around with a head, kept O'Connell, let him kind of be like, be the new Jay Gruden. Go ahead, be the head coach, be the offensive coordinator. Y'all can hire somebody else, some little quarterback guru or something. Call him an offensive coordinator, but he just hold the clipboard.
Right.
Step off, go get, I don't know, maybe
head coach or somebody trying to get back in, or maybe another defensive coordinator, somebody that just know defense, get him to be a defensive coordinator, then I don't know. I think it could work out for real.
Look, I think Kevin O'Connell is bright. I think he has done a solid job. I've actually in 2 of the 3 games that I felt like he was the play caller, I actually thought he did a pretty solid job. I like Kevin O'Connell. I've heard this from people that are around the team. I don't necessarily know if they know this for a fact, but they're around the team that think that he doesn't have the authoritativeness necessary to be a head coach.
Okay, he's too soft, basically.
Right. So they think he's too nice, and they don't know if he has that edge about him that is necessary to be a head coach in this league. And so that's what I'm hearing about him. I can't confirm nor deny that, obviously, because I'm not there, and I haven't heard that from a bunch of people. I've heard that from a couple. So
Right.
That's something that, you'd have to kind of deep dive into. But at the end of the day, I think if he's going to get this job, the Redskins offensively have to be trending upward at season's end. So if you keep seeing this offense going in the right direction and you see a lot of these young guys coming of age, then you're going to start connecting the dots back to KOC. And if that's the case, then he'll be in consideration for this job as well.
Right. Like, if we just are a crazy scenario, no, this shit ain't going to happen, but let's say we went out the rest of the year, but we only lose 1 the rest of the year.
First of all,
he could be looking real sweet.
First of all, if we went out, Bill Callahan's going to be your head coach next year. You don't want that.
Man, hey, look, I don't want to hear that shit.
Okay, well then you got.
Even if it's true, I don't want to hear that.
So you don't want to win out, because if he wins out, Bruce is back, and then you start hearing that we're close again.
Right.
And
Bruce got to go, man. Look,
yeah, you don't want that.
Everybody's saying, hey, he here, he's stuck. They trying to get a new stadium built, all this other stuff.
Yeah.
One thing about it, everybody's saying, oh, we can't get this person or that person. They're not scared to pay somebody. That's one thing everybody counting out about the Redskins.
Yeah.
The cap don't count against personnel and coaches and stuff like that. The cap count against the players. They ain't scared to pay somebody some big bucks to get in here. So if they was to be able to be like, let's say somebody come in with a little bit of experience and a little bit of gumption about themselves and say they want Bruce gone, if they offering that check, man, I really think we could get a name that people wouldn't be expecting. I ain't expecting a damn Herbert Meyer, but we could get somebody for real.
Yeah, look, money talks, everything else walks. I understand that. But 2, a lot of people, they care about their reputation. And this has been called the reverse car wash. You come in clean, you leave dirty. That's just how it's been around here, man. Like, nobody leaves here with the same name that they came in with. They usually are looked at very differently when they leave here. And so there's something to be said about your reputation, man. And it's never good when you leave here. So that's another reason why it's going to be hard for them to get the big hot name, trending coordinator or whatever the case may be. But like you said, Dan has never been afraid to pay. So we'll see what happens, especially when he's desperate.
Hey, true shit. Hey, man, you know I'm rocking with you, man. You always putting out the best stuff, man. Redskins fans, real Redskins fans, gonna keep rocking with it. It's a little rough right now, like you said, but at the end of the day, it'll make it that much better when we finally get somewhere.
Hey, definitely, man. I appreciate you. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. Take care, man.
Hey, same to you, bro.
Appreciate that. All right, so we've hit our 9 o'clock threshold. That was a productive night. Like he said, there were some wild calls. But, all in all, we all family, man. And everybody wants the same thing. And that's just for this team to be successful. And I think a lot of people have different views of what success is and how to get there. But at the end of the day, we just want one common goal. And that's for this team to be successful. And there's so many ways to go about it. But at the end of the day, I don't know what the right way is. I know what the wrong way is, and that's with Bruce Allen remaining a part of this staff. So, obviously, and I don't want Callahan back as the head coach either. Let me just say that right now. So, winning out, we're not going to do it. Like he said that he preferenced everything he said before he said it. He said, look, I know this is not happening, but if we were to win out, and yeah, that sounds great. And a lot of the success in that particular instance, where you'd be saying, especially if it was offensively driven, you'd say, hey, Kevin O'Connell is killing it. But they would just promote Bill Callahan to head coach and remove the interim title. And that's, I think most Redskins fans, I can't speak for all of you out there, I think most Redskins fans would be in agreement that they don't want to see that happen. And then Bruce would be here along with that as well. I think that would be counterproductive. It'd be something that would set this team back a bit. So at the end of the day, changes need to be made. And if that comes along with the second overall pick, great. You know, if the Redskins end up, you know, winning 2 more games and they end up with the 5th pick in the draft, so be it. You know what I mean? As long as change comes with it. At the end of the day, I want a guy in here that believes in Dwayne Haskins. I want a guy in here that believes in the players that are here and has a vision. You know, you come in, all right, no more of that 3-4 defensive bullshit. Let's change this thing to fit the personnel that we have. We have the personnel for a 4-3 defensive front. All right, that's what we should be playing. And I said that earlier, a caller referenced that as well. That's what we should be playing. That's what our personnel says we should be playing. So Mike Shanahan is no longer here. He was the one that implemented the 3-4 defense because that was the trend when he got the job. Well, he's no longer here, and we don't have to play a 3-4 defense. We are not tied to that defense. The personnel that we have here is slated and best suited to play in a 4-3 defensive front. So let's make that switch. I want a coach to come in here and identify all of the little things that have held this team back, change them, and move forward with a clean slate. And I don't know who that guy is, you know, but hopefully that guy ends up here in Washington. I can tell you this much. Dan is going to look for a hot name, and he's going to look for a massive splash because that's what he does. That's his move when the team is struggling and we're hitting rock bottom. So Urban Meyer makes a ton of sense. But you can't tell me that you didn't look at Urban Meyer, and I know the caller said every time Urban Meyer had an ailment, it was when something was going wrong in his program, and that is facts. However, every time you look at Urban Meyer on the sidelines, you can't tell me that he didn't look like he was about to have a brain aneurysm on the sideline. He always looked like he was one bad play away from a stroke. He was always hands on his knees. He can't look. He looks like he's about to vomit. I don't think he is made to be an NFL coach because if you thought college was stressful, wait till you get to the NFL. It's a whole nother animal. I just can't see him being an NFL head coach, but we'll see. As that caller said, a lot of ties to Ohio State here in Washington, and if the Redskins get the number 2 overall pick, there could very well be another Ohio State tie here in the nation's capital. We'll see what happens, but anyway, I'm your man, Louie T. Thank you guys for joining me. I am a Redskins fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Redskins spirit will never die. Redskins spirit will never fold. Until we meet again, hail to our beloved Washington Redskins. I thank you guys for tuning in, for calling in. I'm sorry to those of you who called in and I wasn't able to get to your call. I've got to do a better job of limiting the length of some of these calls. Sometimes people are talking. I want to let them get all of their ideas out, but I've got to be able to shorten the amount of time of some of these calls so we can get more of you guys in here. That being said, thank you for joining me. Like the video, subscribe to the Louie T Network if you haven't already done so. Turn on that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And also, make sure you check out the Louie T Network podcast. New episode will be up tomorrow, so look forward to that. Thank you guys for joining me once again. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. I will be back at some point before the Panthers game. Obviously, it's the Sean Taylor game. And so we'll talk about that. I'll give you my preview for the game and my prediction. And so I'll see you guys a little bit later on. But enjoy the food, the family, the festivities, the friends, the faith, and of course, the football. You guys take care. Happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. Have a good one.
Louie T Network.